Hey, how y'all doing? Dick Hifi here. Another episode, the ASR10, the wonderful ASR10. We're going to be talking about the SCSi2sd setup. I had plenty of people asking me about, where I got it from and how I set it up. You are doing away with your floppy disk, which is very limited in how much information it can hold. And you're going to an SD card, more of the modern era, which can hold about, 10,000 beats. it can hold a lot of information, and you don't have to fool with the thing or the floppy disk breaking down all the time. It was fun writing on the floppy disk and making artwork, but you can still do that if you want when they don't work. One thing that is important to me, and which is why I like the SCSi2sd so much, and not like the thumb drive deal that you take your floppy disk out and put it in. I like to keep the floppy disk intact because I have a long backlog of a lot of old stuff that I don't want to have to convert to the SD. And to go back into that. Plus, there's you never know when you're going to run across a disk that you need to get into, or you can. It kind of makes you hot swappable in a backward sort of way. You can save stuff to the floppy if you need to change over to another SD, get stuff to another SD. But I just like to keep it intact if you can. So where did I get this stuff from? First of all, not all ASR10s have the SCSi in and out, the small computer interface. It wasn't a stock thing, so I never got that with my ASR10. I brought it new. I didn't want to pay extra for anything. I was like, what's SCSi? I don't need that. But yeah, I didn't have it. They are super duper hard to find for an original one. I, for a long time, searched for one. I couldn't do it. I couldn't find anybody trying to sell me like a used one that worked. But I did find a company that this guy actually made them. He remanufactured them, and it's a great thing. They're called Straylight Engineering. Tom V. He's a great guy. I called him, got in touch with him, and he answered all my questions, and he set me up. He didn't have any available at the time, but he was making more, and he sent it right to me. And it's just a great product. He told me how to install it, because you do have to take the ASR10 apart a little bit and install it. So, but it's easy to do, and he walks you through it with the guide. Again, Straylight Engineering, great group. They do a lot of stuff too. Check them out. The next step of that is the SCSi2sd actual part that you put the SD in, because the SCSi goes to anything. It can go to different drives, but those are all dated. SCSi2sd is the way to go. Very simple. You just put an SD card in there and boom. So I got mine from Inertial Computing. They have a few different versions of it. The V5.2 and the V6 are really good for you to go. These are explicitly labeled as being good for samplers, so they're kind of set up for you. We'll put you a link in the description there, so you could find out exactly where these companies are. Straylight Engineering and Inertial Computing, both great people. One thing about this one is that you have to. It worked without its own power. You supply this to its own little power with like a phone, just like you charge your phone. It worked, but they recommended give it the supplementary power. It'll work better. It won't fail. So I've done that, and I've never had a problem with it. I've loved it since I got it. It's a great product. Now, it is a little bit different from saving stuff on your floppy drive, because the drive only holds so much. You're getting like a very limited amount, maybe 1 beat, sometimes half a beat, whatever you're working on. It's not that much. But on the SD, you can get an enormous amount of information on here. So organizing it and working the directory in it there's a little bit of a learning curve to it, and it was a little confusing to me, at first. It's not just like load instrument. You have to go into the system MIDI. So when you interact with it, you're going to go into load system MIDI, right? Now you're in this thing. You're going to go through the directories you have. It gives you these file directories. and then you go through there. So I put all my sounds together, put the banks together, the sequences, and there's some other files that come installed on there. There's macro files, which I'll get to that in 1 second. And, you know, just you can group things how you want them. It's not necessarily like sounds. You can only hold sounds in there. That's just what I have it labeled as, which is the key, is labeling things to organize it. So what I would do is load system, go in here to sounds. Hold on. Before we get to that, let me show you this. Command system, if you move around here, change storage device. Because I have my floppy intact with the SCSI. When you want to go back and forth, change storage device. So I hit enter. It's going to let you toggle through all these SCSIs. My SCSI is 0, and there's floppy, right? So I can hit floppy. It says disk drive not ready because I don't have a disk in there. But now it would be pulling information from the floppy. So if I want to go back to the SCSI, again, command system, change storage device, go to SCSI 0, and it's completed. Now, when I go to load stuff, when I go to search stuff, it's looking from the SCSI. It's not looking from the floppy. It doesn't care about that. So, load system. I had the directories I was looking for. Sounds, banks, sequences, all this stuff. So, let's say I hit sounds. Now, they have another directory, which I created as well. So you have drum percussion, beat samples, drum fills, one loops, intros. This is stuff that I put this in to kind of organize what it was. I figured if I was going to put all my stuff together, I better know what I'm talking about. Holding tank. It was when I accidentally found a cool sample that I wasn't ready for yet. So you make all these through the command. Where did it go? I just saw it. Change storage device, create directory. So it's important where you create the directory because you want to be where I was. So where were we? We were over here. So if I wanted to do, say, a sub directory of drum percussion, which again, I have another one, kicks, snare, hi-hats and rides, cymbals, kits, breaks, open breaks, and you go exit to sounds, which means it would bring me back to the root. Think of it as like a tree. Like you have the first directory, and then it goes up to, okay, it's beat stuff, or it's sounds. So that's a branch. Then from the sounds, what kind of sounds? You have drum percussion sounds. This is another branch, it gets smaller. Then it goes to another branch. It says kicks or snares. So you go in there and you command, when you get to the root that you want to be, you command a new one. So if I say I was in, let's say I was in kits. Let's say I wanted like I don't know, big open kits that weren't choppy and tight. I would at that point hit enter and then command system to create a directory, and I'll create it then and label it, and it would be there. Now, as you keep going with this, you're going to have a lot of things in a lot of locations to get to, like where's all this stuff, because this thing, it can hold an enormous amount. That's when it comes into macro, and this gets really confusing. I'm not gonna give you enough information for you to master this right now. It took me like, I don't know, several times reading through the manual before I even started to understand it, which doesn't surprise me. You're not dealing with a genius here, but it can get confusing. So basically what it does is it is a direct address to find this. So when you make your macros, you can load it up directly. So you can go to any place in here. You go back to snares, load instrument. I don't have any snares in there, I guess. Let me see. Load system. And now I got open breaks. Load instrument. There we go. I didn't have any snares in there by itself. So you hit enter. It says exit. Then you hit load instrument. That's when you can load the thing. This other stuff is not sounds. It is directories. It's bringing you to places where you have the stuff, and then you load it just like you would off your disk. So now you're looking through stuff to find. So you find what you want, pick the instrument button, it loads it up. You could create a macro to bring you right to that wherever you give the address to. You can go to that spot. So you don't have to. It's a shortcut basically. So it takes a little learning. It's not something you're just going to jump into and go, oh, I know how to master this. The thing to do, again, and I say this on every episode, is labeling. Be organized with your labeling. Even have a notebook that tells you all the routes that you have. And if you're looking for one thing in particular and you know you have it somewhere, you're going to be frustrated if you don't know where it is. To write that down and keep track of it is gonna help you a long way. So it's a great product. I got frustrated with the floppies because I didn't mind using the floppies that much, but they just started failing. I was buying brand new floppies. They were old, but fresh out the pack. They were unopened, new old stock, and they were failing almost immediately. And at that point, I was like, this is not saving anything. It's a bad wish. So anyway, great product. A little bit of future proof in here, and again, hit those links and check those companies out if you're interested in. They're great people. So, all right. See y'all next time.